Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the 28th Annual Municipal. Just a moment. Technology. Okay. That's okay. We're going to go with the reverb for right now. So in accordance with the Newington Town Charter, Chapter 403, it is my pleasure to call to order the 28th Municipal Organizational Meeting of November 9th at 8 p.m. Good evening. My name is James Krapinski, and I am the town clerk for the town of Newington. And I would like to thank everybody for joining us this evening, either in person, on Zoom, or on our YouTube channel. This evening, we are here to participate in the swearing in of our newly elected officials. At this time, if you would please rise if capable for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we'll move into the administration of oaths. At this time, we'll be swearing in our newly elected mayor, town council, board of education, fire commissioners, and constables. As I do so, I will be announcing each of your names in alphabetical order and as it was placed upon the ballot. So we will begin by swearing in the newly elected mayor. I should say re-elected. I'd ask Beth Kinsey Delbino to come forward. Actually, I'm going to have you come right over this side. That way the camera will pick us up.
Thank you.
All right. Please raise your right hand. Say aye and then state your full name.
I, Beth Delbuno,
Now repeat after me. Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully discharge according to law
that I will faithfully discharge according to law
my duties as mayor
my duties as mayor
of the town of Newington
of the town of Newington
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You have a seat at the table. Now we'll be swearing in the newly elected town council members. Please come forward as I call your name. Sharon R. Braverman. Have you stand here. Gail Bedraco. Oh, I'm going to have you stand over this way. That'll catch the camera for you. Michael Camillo. I know, we've got to get used to it. John Donahue. Tim Mankey. David Nagel. Mitch Page. And Kim Rada. This next process will be more involved for everyone. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have you raise your right hands, say aye, then you're going to state your full name into the microphone, and you're going to pass it to the next counselor. And then you'll repeat after me.
Aye. Aye. Michael Camillo.
I, Gail Bedraco.
I, Sharon Braverman.
Aye, John Donahue.
Hi, Tim Mankey. Hi, David Nagel.
I, Mitch Page.
I, Kim Rada.
Now repeat after me. Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge according to law my duties as a town councillor for the town of Newington to the best of my ability, so help me God. Congratulations. Congratulations to all of you. Now we will be swearing in the newly elected Board of Education members. Please come forward as I announce your name. Michael J. Branda. Amy DeVoe Parati. Danielle Drodes. Bruce Fletcher. Richard Lavarier. Beth A. Mankey Hutwagner. Sam Sharma. Jessica Weaver. Anastasia Yap. All right. As we just previously did, I'm going to ask you to raise your right hands. Say "I," state your name, and then pass the microphone along.
I, Michael J. Branda,
I, Amy Parati.
I, Danielle Drozd.
I, Bruce A. Fletcher.
I, Richard William Laverier.
I, Beth A. Mankey Hutwagner.
I, Sam Sharma.
I, Jessica Weaver.
I, Anastasia Yap.
Now repeat after me. Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge according to law my duties as a Board of Education member for the town of Newington to the best of my ability, so help me God. Congratulations. Excuse me just a moment. We're just having another technical issue. Fortunately, I have no idea why we're not getting through what we're looking for. All right. We'll just have to finish up where we are and we'll figure this out. All right. Oh, All right, here we are. All right, so we've already done that part of it. There we are. All right, at this time, I'm going to ask the two fire commissioners to come forward, Frank L. DeMeo and Kent Stoddard. I'll have you both raise your right hand for me. Say aye and state your name into the mic.
I, Frank L. DeMeo,
I, Kent Elliott Stoddard Jr.,
Repeat after me. Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge according to law my duties as fire commissioner for the town of Newington to the best of my ability, so help me God. Congratulations. All right, at this time, I would ask John J. Batalico to come forward to be sworn in as constable. Earlier this week, Mr. Callahan was already sworn in and he is now relaxing in Florida. All right, I could have you raise your right hand for me. Say aye and state your full name.
I, John Batalico,
Now repeat after me. Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge according to law my duties as constable for the town of Newington to the best of my ability, so help me God. Congratulations. Thank you. At this time, that concludes the swearing-in ceremony of our new elected officials. At this time, I will now turn the meeting over to the mayor. You do? Didn't want any feedback. So if everybody would just push the bottom of their mic, press the power button on left, it'll go green.
Perfect, thank you.
And takes a second to connect. And
There we go. Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I thank you all for being able to attend, and I'm so glad that we were able to do the hybrid version of this meeting so that everyone in Newington has the ability to attend if they'd like. First and foremost, I would like to say congratulations to all of the newly elected and newly re-elected members here this evening. The first thing I really need to say beyond congratulations is a huge thank you to my family. I get choked up every time I mention my family. Sorry, guys. To my husband, Scott, my daughter, Kinsey, who are both here this evening, and my son, Matthew, who wasn't able to make it. I couldn't do this without you and with your support. It's been 18 years of crockpot dinners, a lot of crockpot dinners, and just working together for you all to allow me to take phone calls at crazy times and I try not to miss things, but oftentimes family times are interrupted, and I want to just thank you for your patience and your flexibility so that I am able to do this for our town. Next, I'd like to say thank you to the Newington residents and voters who supported not only me, but everyone up here. And I am very honored to serve with each and every one of you that are up here with me this evening. I can't say enough about my team, the candidates that I ran with, and the support that you show me each and every day. I am so grateful for the team that we are, how well we work together, and I'm so grateful that all of us decided to choose to do this again, and that we were all luckily, very luckily elected by the residents of Newington, and I'm thankful for that as well. Another thank you, I have a few thank yous. Thank you to the Newington Republican Town Committee and the Payne family and all of our members for helping us get here this evening as well. Thank you to Mr. Chapman, our town manager, his efforts, and quite frankly, the efforts of the entire staff of Newington. They make us look good every single day. So we sit up here and our job is to make policy and procedure flow. And we help with those decisions that they bring forward to us and we make them come into fruition. But the people that really make it happen are our town staff members, every single one of them. And I thank them from the bottom of my heart for the work that they do for our town, because they make all of us look good. I will say that the last 2 years flew by. I couldn't believe that our term was already over when it was. And I am very pleased with the accomplishments that the past council was able to do. But there were so many things that were left unfinished and so many more things that we want to do. We managed to decrease the mill rate twice over the last 2 years, but quite frankly, we are aiming to continue to stabilize our mill rate. We recognize that we can't just continue to increase, and we need to work on ways to stabilize, and we're working on methods behind the scenes to do that. One of our big pushes over the last few months had been to create a project building committee so that we can move forward priority projects in town and make sure that we have experts that are handling those with input from staff and from us. Trying to make that board an apolitical body, and that will be a priority of ours moving forward. Additionally, another area of growth for us would be to continue meaningful and mindful economic growth, as well as repurposing. There's been a lot of focus lately on new areas of town, new ways to add buildings, but we also need to focus moving forward on repurposing what we already have in town and making sure that we're growing in that way as well, and making sure that we're supporting the businesses that we already have, and that will be a focus for our council as well. I welcome the bipartisan work that I know this council will be able to achieve. We did it the last 2 years, and I have no doubt that with Mitch and Kim and Sharon on board that we will be able to continue those efforts moving forward. And I look forward to working with all of you.
Good.
I know that we can continue to move Newington forward and do great things if we all work together. Thank you all for being here tonight. We're going to continue on with our meeting. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is to consider and take action on appointments to a subcommittee on Town Council Rules of Procedure. Deputy Mayor Bedrejko, would you read a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Tim Mankey, John Donahue, and Mitch Page to serve on the subcommittee on council rules and procedures.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Camillo. Discussion on this, I'll just explain to everyone. Each newly elected council, it's procedure that we form a subcommittee to review the rules of the council, to determine if there's anything over the last 2 years that we feel needs to be changed or tweaked or adjusted. And that committee will bring back their recommendations after reviewing the policies forward to this entire council, and then we would take a vote on that. So we are looking and hoping that the 3 names that were mentioned, I know I had checked with you all, you're willing to serve.
Yes.
Is there any other discussion by councilors? All right, seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We have our subcommittee. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is appointments by mayor. I have the distinct privilege of making 3 appointments as your mayor. The first appointment is that of town attorney. And I am very pleased to say that Attorney Ben Ancona, who has served with us for the last 2 years as our town attorney, has agreed to take that role on again. So this evening, I appoint Attorney Ben Ancona as our town attorney. Additionally, for clerk of the council, Susan Gibbon is here this evening and has been with us for the last couple of years. And she also graciously has agreed to continue. And therefore, I will appoint for clerk of the council, Susan Gibbon. Thank you, Susan, for agreeing to continue with us. We really do appreciate your work. Designation of deputy mayor. This woman right here, my right hand, I purposely sat her on my right side because she is my right hand. Deputy Mayor Gail Bedrejko, who served with me for the last 2 years in that position. I am very pleased to ask Gail, would you be my deputy mayor?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. It's like a rose ceremony, right? It's like the Bachelor. Given that she has agreed, I will designate Gail Bedrejko as deputy mayor. Thank you all. Next on our agenda this evening, is the Freedom of Information presentation. We have with us this evening Thomas Hennick for an overview of meeting procedures. Welcome, Mr. Hennick.
Hey, Tom. Take just a second to look at. Take just a second.
Not at all.
Got a love fest going on here. I don't know if you really want to hear from me, but thank you. First of all, congratulations. I've been on both sides of where you sit. I serve on boards in my town. I've won, I've lost, so I know the feeling of winning is better than not. We do workshops, we got notes out there. Freedom of information workshops all over the state. And frankly, we're not going to be able to cover, large portions of it tonight. James asked me to come, and we appreciate the opportunity just to give you a few basics, a few pieces of the overview. At some point, I'd love to come back. And so maybe invite other board and commission members. And I know some of you are veterans, you probably know some of this stuff. But when we talk about freedom of information in Connecticut, we have to remember that it is the law in the state. And the bottom line is it's a law about public agencies doing their work in public. And that ultimately is where this law falls. And the things that you have to remember, I suspect many of you come from the private sector to these roles. And again, I speak from experience. I know what it's like you have your real jobs during the day, and then you run home and you wolf down to dinner, and then you come to here and you start having discussions about different things, and you're thinking, that's not how we do it at the bank, or that's not how we do it in the insurance company. Why don't we just, go off in the corner and figure this out on our own? One of the things that you have to remember when you're in a public agency is that in Connecticut, at least, you have to do your work in public. So if you're going to meet, if you're going to have conversations, the definition of a meeting is pretty strong. Just read you briefly part of it. Meeting means any hearing or other proceeding of a public agency, any convening or assembly of a quorum of a multi-member public agency, and any communication by or to a quorum of a multi-member public agency, whether in person or by means of electronic equipment, to discuss or act upon a matter over which the public agency has supervision, control, jurisdiction, or advisory power. It's pretty broad. So if you're going to gather to do your work in any way, shape, or form, and it constitutes a quorum of your board or a duly constituted subcommittee, you just formed a subcommittee a couple minutes ago, that subcommittee would have to follow the same rules. Make sure your meetings are properly noticed. Make sure they're open to the public. Make sure there are minutes of that meeting when the meeting is done. So often I hear conversations, gee, Tom, we've got this difficult thing where we're trying to work it out. Can we just meet in private? Well, the law does give you avenues to meet in private. If you're veterans or you're familiar with the process, there's an executive session. But to get there, it has to be for one of the 5 reasons: a personnel matter, pending claims or pending litigation, a security matter, property transaction, discussion of a document or documents that are exempt. You have a right to do that, but there's a process. You have to have it on an agenda. You have to make a motion to go in, as you just did. You need a 2/3 vote to go in, citing specifically the reason for executive session. So if it falls into one of those categories, you are allowed to go in and have some of these conversations that can be difficult. And again, I speak from experience as well. There are also some things that the legislature, when it created the law, said, you know what? It may sound like a meeting, it may feel like a meeting, but for the purposes of freedom of information, we're going to take it off the board. So if you're involved in any collective bargaining situations, if you're negotiating a contract, strategizing over a collective bargaining situation, you're allowed to do that without worrying about the meeting constraints. If you are going to have an executive level search committee, your police chief, I don't know how you're structured, but let's suppose your police chief retires, you need to find a new chief. You can form an executive level search committee to look for a new chief. That committee can operate outside of freedom of information. There's a lot of different things that give you the opportunity. The legislature did try to create the balance when they wrote this law, but it favors transparency. It favors operating in public. And that's you'll hear me drum that out. That's the main thing to remember. You also want to think about things like, well, gee, we're all friends. It sounds like you all get along pretty well. You're going to go out to dinner, and the law says you can do that. You can have a social meeting, neither planned nor intended for the purpose of discussing matters relating to official business. And I always chuckle when I say that. What the heck else are you guys going to talk about, right? If you go out to dinner. And so, listen, let's not be naive. Let's be realistic. These conversations are going to happen. But when you're sitting there at the table and you're enjoying, a nice meal, do not get into those deep deliberative conversations that you should be having here. One of the things about the Freedom of Information Act is that it gives the people some power. If people believe they've been denied the access that this law guarantees them either to a meeting or a public record, they can file a complaint against the public agency with the FOI Commission. And it's an administrative hearing, but the commission has the authority of law to say, you violated the law, don't do it again, or can issue civil penalties, declare null and void something that happens at a meeting. So what you don't want to have happen is that lovely dinner and you get the one time you forget and you sort of lose track and you start having a serious argument. I guarantee you the wrong person sitting at the next table and says they've had an illegal meeting and files a complaint. Be real careful, be real smart to the extent that you have those conversations outside of the meeting. I like to say, do not set your budget over the eggnog at the Christmas party. Just be smart about it and understand that, the law requires transparency, requires you to operate in public. Another phrase you may have caught when I read the definition, whether in person or by means of electronic equipment. Now, we're meeting in the hybrid form today, and that's a sort of an offshoot, one of the brighter sides, if you will, of the pandemic. It pushed us into situations that we never thought we'd be in. But the law actually always was clear that you couldn't meet electronically without, certain formats. And think about how we've communicated with each other since March of 2020, emailing, texting, all those things. We didn't see each other as much as we used to. Again, be careful the extent to which you use those. The mayor sends out a position paper and says, fellow council members, I feel really strongly about this issue. I want you to read this. This is the presentation I'm going to make at the next meeting. Well, that's fine. But then you jump in and say, I don't like that idea. I think that's a bad idea. And then you jump in and you say, gee, I think that's a really good idea. And then the discussion starts via email. Folks, stop it there. Because once you're meeting electronically then, and that's not allowed either. And the double jeopardy there, if you will, for a public agency is that those emails by definition become public records. So someone can say, I want to see any and all emails sent by the mayor about topic X. You'd have to produce them. And then not only would your thoughts be out there when maybe you didn't want them to be, you probably are in danger of having had an illegal meeting and the snowball starts rolling down the hill. And you just want to avoid that. You want to be smart about that. Just an aside on records, as public officials, when you create something in the conduct of Newington business, it becomes by definition a public record. And and again, in a full-blown workshop, we can go over the various exemptions. There are plenty, but just think in terms of this being a public record. Understand that it's a public record, and then is it one that gets released or not? That's a determination you make later. But when you create it, a lot of times, especially since March of 2020, people will call up and say, hey, Tom, I was working at home. That's not a public record, is it? It was my laptop. It was my phone. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what device you're using, where you're using it. If it's created in the conduct of Newington business, it starts off as a public record, and there's a chance that somebody could ask to see it and you'd have to release it. So just be smart about that and understand that the goal is to do your work in public. I'm conscious of the fact that I'm standing between you and a celebration, so I'm not going to go on very long. Let me talk just for a couple minutes about sort of the new deal, if you will. When COVID hit, the governor issued some executive orders, which sort of expanded the role of electronics in meetings. It allowed us to meet virtually in toto, and it created this hybrid situation. The legislature liked it enough to codify some of these rules, and I suspect you've been briefed on those. If not, we have a full sort of outline on our website. I'll leave James a copy of it. He can make, by the way, you've got an ally at FOI wise. He knows his stuff. Sorry, hate to throw you under the bus, but if you have questions, and the other thing is too, we're there to answer questions all the time. Do not ever hesitate to pick up the phone. I should have mentioned, I'm not an attorney. These are not orders or commands, but I can give you guidance. You can say, okay, fine, swell, that's what he thinks, but at least you'll have some idea. But when it comes to sort of these new electronic provisions, what's interesting is that they put them in place, but they're going to expire at the end of April of next year. So we don't want to try to memorize all of them, because some of them will stay and some of them will go. But again, the bottom line with this is, yes, you can meet this way, but you have to, again, provide real-time access. The key is to make sure that whatever format you're using, that the public can tune in. If it's via Zoom, you send the link out there, make sure it's there at least 24 hours in advance so that people can have it. If it's a regular meeting, the law requires you to record it and make the recording available. Again, that's sort of an expansion of what we're otherwise obligated to do. Some of those provisions go away if you decide to meet in person. If you want to do away with that, those are decisions you get to make. You're not required to do it either way. It just gives you more options. So keep those things in mind, and it gives you sort of different tools to work with so that you can have your meetings and that the people can be involved. Another thing, again, and some of you are veterans, you probably know this, but just to repeat it, a lot of people think that the Freedom of Information Act gives folks the opportunity to come and address the board and to speak. Well, most of the boards that I've ever been on always allow public comment, welcome it, you want to hear from people. But especially in this virtual world, people saying, well, they muted me or I couldn't get. Public speaking still remains in the hands of the board. So how you handle that, whether you allow it, if you want to, restrict it to a specific topic, time limit, it's budget time, everybody wants to be heard. It's 2 minutes, it's 3 minutes. I notice you've got 4 minutes on your agenda tonight. Those are things you get to do. I get calls all the time from people that said they limited me or they let my neighbor speak and they wouldn't let me speak. Well, there's a fairness factor. I always encourage you to be fair and to be mindful of that. But freedom of information does not dictate how you handle your public speaking. And one other thing, and I guess that's probably addressed to you, you poor unfortunate soul. When we talk about minutes of meetings, remember that the minutes, I can say that I do the FOI commission meeting minutes, so I can say that. You want to make sure that your minutes are available in 7 days. That's sort of the golden rule. The minutes available in 7 days so that anybody can see them. When we're in this recording mode, I've gotten many calls from people saying, gee, doesn't the recording substitute for the minutes? The answer is no. The recording is fine, but the minutes still need to be created. My one word of advice on minutes, folks, is that they need not be the recreation of War and Peace. They are not verbatim transcripts. They are not meant to be a word for word recapitulation of what people say. We get into trouble when we do that. Gee, I didn't say that, did I? I didn't mean to say that. I sound stupid. Can we change that? No. So if a nice, crisp, clear, concise recapitulation of what happens is the best way to go. And I'll stop there. I'll take a couple of questions if you'd like. Otherwise, go have a good time celebrating your elections and re-elections.
I don't have access to this. I'm gonna have to rely on you to do that. I'm not sure. Go ahead, Joanne.
While we're waiting.
Yes.
I just want, you said that the executive orders that.
On your microphone.
Oh,
Sorry, guys, we're getting used to it. It's our first time.
Right.
The executive orders that are now kind of governing this hybrid type of
Right.
whatever expire in April. I was just wondering how or who is collecting information or surveying on what changes need to be made, what's working, what's not
To be
working.
clear, the executive orders have expired. The legislature codified some of these things. It's section 149 of the budget implementer bill, which is 8,000 pages long,
Mhm.
but section 149, the legislature also created a committee. And I don't remember the name of it, but they're consulting with a lot of people to hear the good and the bad of those sort of things. If you really want to know, call me tomorrow and I'll get you the name, or send me an email and I'll give you the exact name. They've met a couple of times and they're gathering information and they're going to sort of recommend to the legislature what should continue and what should not.
So if James or Susan or one of us has a suggestion or an item we like changed,
Absolutely.
we can contact you.
Absolutely, yes, we'll be happy to pass it along.
Thank you.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay,
All right, you're welcome, folks. Enjoy your evening.
thank you very
Okay.
much.
Oh, wait a minute.
It was great to put a face to a
Yes.
name.
Oh,
Are we taking public questions on this? Okay,
can't get away.
And actually, one of them is one of our staff.
okay,
So we did ask them to be available.
perfect. Renata Bertati, our town planner, is with us.
I am, but I haven't heard what James just said.
Your hand was up. Are you here to participate regarding the FOI discussion?
No, I apologize for that. I was not aware that that was raised.
Okay, thank you. Who do you have next? Ms. Mazzacoli?
Hi, Sue Mazzacoli, 149 Harris Drive, Newington, Connecticut. I just want to say hi to my old friend Tom. It's been at least 5 years. I miss you. I cannot believe you are still working for the state. It's time to retire, Tom. And not that
Wow.
now that's not because you aren't the best. And that's what I want to say to this council, Board of Ed, whoever. You got to open up your meetings to have at least an FOI day where people come, a workshop is what they call it. An FOI workshop where you meet a couple hours in the morning, you have a lunch, a couple hours in the afternoon. There is so much involved with the FOI law. What you got tonight was a tiny, tiny portion of what Tom knows. And Tom would be wonderful if you could reach out to them too through James. Thank you, James, for inviting Tom. But if you could reach out and talk with each other about that and maybe have a workshop. If you can't have it for all the elected officials, at least have it for the town council. So thank you, Tom. It was nice seeing you again. And I could actually see you on my iPad today. First time in 2 years that I could actually see all of you sitting at the council table. And congratulations to all of the people who were elected. And I so appreciate all your volunteerism. Many people in this town do not know that you do not get paid. You do not get lunches. You do not get gas to drive to the meetings. You're doing this all on your own as a volunteer. And I can't tell you how much as a citizen I appreciate that. So congratulations to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mazzacoli.
I'm Tom Hennick and I paid for this. Thank you, Sue.
Anyone
Anything
else?
else, folks? Listen, congratulations again. If you need anything, and actually Sue does raise a good issue, but I mentioned that before. Happy to come back in a sort of a longer setting. I'm sure there are other questions that you have and issues you want to discuss, but I'm happy to help you out. So, James, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Okay,
you.
You're welcome.
Folks, next on our agenda is public participation on any matter. If you'd like to come forward and speak, we just ask that you state your name and address for the record. You're welcome to come up here to the microphone, and if there's anyone online, James, you'll let me know.
I will.
All right. Anyone may come forward. Welcome, Representative Turco.
Thank you very much, Mayor and all of the councilors. Congratulations on your victories. And I officially state my name for the record, sorry. State Representative Gary Turco, 98 Williamstown Court, Newington. So congratulations, everyone, again. And let me also just thank you for being willing to serve. I know that this is a volunteer job for all of you, and I personally know all of the sacrifice that it will take, the time away from family and friends, and all of the busy hours you will put into serving our town. So thank you for being willing to do that. And I also just wanted to say that I look forward to working together over your next 2 years. And I am hopeful that we can find a lot of different areas to collaborate on. I know a lot of times we have different ideas on how to get to the end goal, but we have the same end goal. We want what's best for the town and for all of these wonderful people that live in our town. We want to be prosperous and keep our taxes low and bring in businesses and have a great education for our children and make sure our seniors are well cared for. And sometimes we disagree on exactly how to do that, but we all want that. And I know because of that, and because of all those common interests that we have, and the love for our towns, and the love for our family and our friends, we can find ways to find common ground and compromise so we can achieve those end goals. I welcome your ideas. I don't care if they're Republican ideas or Democratic ideas, they're conservative ideas, they're progressive ideas, as long as they're really good ideas that will help our town. And I certainly need them. I am one person as state representative representing 23,000 people for this town of Newington. So I don't pretend to have all the ideas we need to solve our problems. I rely on people with all different professions and experiences and backgrounds like you all have and the constituents of Newington have. So my door is always open to discuss difficult topics at time, or to discuss, the fun ribbon cutting things we get to do once in a while too. Whatever it is, I want you to know that I'm approachable. Sit down, have a cup of coffee, call me, text me, and even if we've had some, bitter arguments in the past on things we were really passionate about, now I'm hoping we'll be able to come together for the best of the town. So thank you, everyone. Congratulations again. I look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Representative Turco. Any other members of the public that would like to come forward? Anyone online? Okay, we're all set then with public participation. We'll move on to remarks by counselors. Deputy Mayor Bedrejko.
Yeah, I don't want to make this too long because it's kind of repeating what Mayor Beth had said earlier and actually echoing some of Representative Turco's thoughts. But first of all, thanking everybody who came out and voted, whether you voted for me or against me. And as I've said many times, I hope if you voted for me, I'm not going to disappoint you. But if you voted against me, I hope that I can earn a little bit of trust and respect over the next 2 years. And I think I'm speaking for the council for, we have the 2 new members, that we're going to be able to put politics aside and work across the aisle, do some kumbaya stuff, and do what's best for Newington. And because we're going to have a tough couple of years ahead. I mean, COVID might be on the downside, or might, some say it's over on the downside, but the residual effects are staggering. There's impacts to the economy, to the funding, to psychologically, socially, to our children, to our seniors, and to our town. And we're going to have to come together as 9 people working as a body for this kind of comfy, homey place that we call home, Newington. So I want to say, welcome to the new people. And I also, again, just thank you to everybody in Newington who took the time to vote, either absentee or come out.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Bedrejko. Any other counselors? Counselor Braverman.
I want to thank all the voters that voted for me and us at the table. And I'm excited to start another year on the council, working on new initiatives with new people and old people, and keeping Newington as vibrant and wonderful as we can be. We're a great town and want to keep it great. So thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Braverman. Anyone else? Okay, one last comment to Representative Turco. I appreciate your comments, and I do look forward to working with you. I know we both are in this for the right reasons, so to speak. We all want what's best for Newington, and I did hear, I know from you on election night, I appreciate you reaching out, as well as Representative Woods. also reached out, and Representative Sanchez and Lesser, I think, moving forward, the five of us, in addition to the entire council, can do great things for the town, and I look forward to that. I guess if no one else has their hands up, then we are all set, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Menke, seconded by Counselor Braverman. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, I forgot the gavel at the beginning, so I'm going to use it now. We stand adjourned at 8:46. Hey, counselors, just so you